So now we want to look at least at this point, the beginning of the Hebrew text of chapter 15 in this unfolding of the covenant in a very formal, yet visionary covenantal context that we see in chapter 15. Now, I've posted on Blackboard, again, a Hebrew layout of chapter 15, and we just want to look at a few portions of this. Various ways of introducing a new phase of Hebrew narrative. We've seen several times now simply the Vayiktal form, the Vayehi, built off the word to be, Vayehi, and it was, or it came to pass. Some even translated once upon a time, like the old storytelling. But so Vayehi is a very typical way of introducing a new phase of Hebrew narrative. Another way is the phraseology that begins verse 1 in chapter 15, Achar Hadabarim Ha'ela. After the matters, the things, the words, these, pretty literal translation, we say after these matters or after these things, meaning that it is building upon the previous material. We don't know what time frame initially we have between the events at the end of chapter 14, the encounter with Melchizedek and king of Sodom, but at some point after these things, perhaps a relatively short. That, as the Hebrew reads, Haya Devar Adonai El Avram B'machazeh Lemor, that it was the word of Yahweh. Again, Yahweh is the term used in covenant contexts in the book of Genesis. God as creator starts out in chapter 1 of Genesis as Elohim. But when we get to the relational aspects of dealing with Adam in chapter 2 and following, the text switches to Yahweh, the covenanting God, building upon, of course, what we know later on, the revelation to Moses in Exodus chapter 3. There it's Ehyeh, and so it is I am who I am. But here, the word of the Lord comes to Abraham now, the machazeh, chazah is a word having to do with dreams or visions. So it's already going to tell you up front that this relationship revelation that's going to happen is going to be visionary, at least in part. I don't think the splitting of the animals is a vision. It does that in real life, real time. But he tells them in the beginning of this encounter, this visionary encounter with God, do not fear, Abram, for I am a Magen, a shield to you, and your reward, great exceedingly, will be a great reward to you. I'm going to, though it doesn't use the term barak, or barak for blessing, that is the broad context. Do not fear. Again, often visions are fearful. But he tells Abraham in this visionary encounter, do not be afraid. For I am, and this is another way of saying I am with you. Like he tells Jeremiah in Jeremiah's call and numerous others, the promise of God's presence, and that his presence will involve protection and great blessing or reward. So Anaki, Magen, Lach. I'm Yahweh. Anoki, long form. Short form, remember, the Hebrew is Ani. Here, Anoki, Magen, Lach. I am a shield to you. I am your protection, and I am your great reward. Then we have the first aspect of this as it unfolds, that Abram then said, Adonai Yahweh, Lord Yahweh, what will you give to me? Ma tetain li. It says, I am walking Ari. Here I am. Here is our status, however. I'm what? I'm not seeing the full blessing. Rather, I seem to be a ruler. It's like, hey, I haven't fully experienced. It's perhaps the level of unblessing. Concept of barrenness and being accursed and not seeing the fullness of God's blessing. You're childless. And he says, furthermore, so here I am. I'm holy. Uses a participle. I'm going about, but in barrenness. And the son of air, the heirship of my house, Beiti, who he is, Damasek Eliezer of Damascus. He is the one who is the heir. And then, of course, furthermore, so he says, again, as we mentioned in the introduction, here it sets up the scene. He now has an heir, but this is not the child promised to Abram and Sarai. So, then reiterates the issue of, behold, to me, you have not given a seed. Lo, tatata, zara. V'hine ben beiti yoresh oti. The son of my household is my heir. I don't have, this promised zerah, seed. But then behold, the word of Yahweh comes to him saying, verse 4, Lo yirashka zeh. Ki im asher itzeh mimetecha. You're going to have one who will come forth from your loins, who will be your heir in your household. And that there shall come forth from you, even through your aged wife Sarah and your more aged self, Abram, I am going to provide for you a future, promised I. That is reiterated again in verse 5. So, brings him outside. So, perhaps as it starts out with a vision within his tent, Lord brings him outside, Yotzeh, by Yotzeh, Hifil form, brings him out. So, to go out is in the Hal of Yatzah, and the Hifil, to cause to go out, is to bring out into the outside, and says, Avetna, Hashemayim. Behold, take a good discerning look, built off the term of but to observe closely the heavens, and Sippor HaKokavim, number the stars as if you, because Im Kal Sephirah. It's really impossible. As if one were able, as if you were able to count the stars. But try to do it. But he says to him, Ko Yihyeh Zeracha. Thus will be your seed. You may not see it now, but Abram, I promised, trust in my faithfulness, he's saying. I will indeed enable you and Sarah to bring forth seed. So text say, a famous text, and of course in the New Testament, several locations. Amin Adonai. He believed, trusted. Paul emphasizes the aspect of fully trusting, the full expression of Abram's faith in Yahweh. And it was reckoned or credited to him as tzedakah, great term of righteousness. Yak Sheveha was counted, credited, reckoned to his account. Now he has expressed his confidence in Yahweh. Yahweh has promised an heir come forth. So now that essential to the growing faith of Abraham is set forth. Believing God, foundation for righteousness. A very, very New Testament concept. This is almost, but not quite, the concept that Paul talks about of imputed righteousness. Here it's reckoned to as a righteous. Righteousness has to do with doing not simply what is right, but faithfully, rightfully following God and the Word of God, and in Christianity, of course, the presence of God as exemplified in Jesus Christ. So that's how Paul, writer of Hebrews, and other, even Habakkuk in a different sense, will use the aspect of faith, foundation for a righteous, right relationship to God.